We'll go live. Yeah, we are live.
Hi everyone, I am Varadhi from Careers 360 and I welcome you all to this webinar on how heart to heart with NEET 2021 toppers. So we know that medical aspirants in India, they rely primarily on their performance in the NEET to secure a place in their dream college, in the dream medical college rather. So needless to say, the competition is fierce and aspirants have numerous questions relating to the preparation strategy, handling anxiety, last minute tips, and much more. This is exactly why we thought we would get the NEET toppers of 2021 to speak to you about their experiences and how their journeys have been, so that you could get valuable insights about your preparation for the year to come. I'm very happy to welcome Mrinal and Sakshi with us. Hi Mrinal, hi Sakshi, and thank you so much for taking out time from your very busy study schedules to do this for us. So Mrinal held the All India Rank 1 in NEET 2021, and he's currently pursuing MBBS at AIMS Delhi. And Sakshi secured an All India rank of 426 in NEET 2021, and she's currently pursuing MBBS at Maulana Azad Medical College, Delhi. With this, I would request Mrinal and Sakshi to give a brief introduction of themselves, and post that we will throw open the floor for questions and answers. Mrinal, over to you.
Hey everyone, my name is Mrinal and I'm presently studying in AIMS New Delhi. I'm from Hyderabad. I don't have much to say in terms of brief introduction. This is sounding increasingly like a first grader's essay about my introduction, so not going to say much there. Glad to be here though. Thank you.
Thank you. Sakshi, a little about you, please.
Hello everybody, myself Sakshi and I'm a first year review student from Maulana Azad Medical College and I'm from Haryana and yeah,
All
what
right.
to say, like I'm currently pursuing my first year only.
Okay. Thanks, Sakshi. Thanks, Mrinal. So anyone who would want to ask any questions from Sakshi or Mrinal could use the reaction button and raise their hands, and we will give you a chance to unmute and ask. Till then, I would like to ask you, Mrinal, on behalf of the audience, what was it that made you choose medicine as a career? Why did you choose to go for MBBS as the course that you would want to do?
Okay, bit of a long story. So I remember particularly somewhere around 8th or 9th grade, I decided I wanted to be in the army, very childishly inspired by video games and movies. And when I did an honest introspection, I knew I didn't have the mentality, the courage, the physical skill, or any of the prerequisites to be a soldier. So, but at the same time, I was interested in biology, and it's a very straightforward assumption, at least in India, ki from biology people assume that you want to be a doctor. So, and I did find the human body and all its complexities and all its errors in functioning quite interesting. So I saw a fusion of what I wanted and the subject I was interested in the form of being an army doctor. So for a long time, nearly 2 or 3 years, I thought I'd join AFMC through NEET. But as I read more and more about medicine as a career and about the career opportunities that you have in different colleges, I became a little more open. Like I just want to do medicine somewhere. It could be in any college, whichever would be the best college that my rank got me. I would join there. So that's how it started. So it was first join the army, then it become an army doctor, and then it became be any form of doctor.
All right. Okay. Quite interesting. And how was it for you, Sakshi? I mean, what made you choose medicine?
Ma'am, my story is it was not at all oriented from the very beginning. It was very random. Randomly I chose this field. Randomly it all started with a test. Randomly I gave the test. I got admitted into Akash. Then I started preparing for it. Then I gave NEET and my rank came. And now also I'm not sure that okay, will I be satisfied by becoming a doctor or not? After also becoming a doctor, maybe I can divert to some other field. So it's not at all sure that okay, I have to be a doctor only at this point of time. So and what really motivated me to crack NEET was the competition with your peers. Like matlab, I used to think like if they can do it, then why can't I? That thing worked for me, and that was the only thing due to which I was preparing for NEET. No, nothing like okay, for this I have to be a doctor.
Okay, understood. So, Sakshi, what came across to you as the major challenges in your preparation?
My major challenge, first of all, I have to shift my state. Earlier in 9th and 10th standard, till 9th and 10th, I was in Haryana. And for 11th, 12th, I came to Delhi. I studied in Akash. So that change was quite a big thing for me. And the traveling issues, I had a lot of traveling issues. It used to take me like 2 hours to travel to my institute from my home. So and yeah, matlab, during practice also there were many difficulties like yaar ab to ho hi nahi raha hai, what to do. But I used to see like okay, others are also doing it and let's see what comes out. Just keep doing. So that all happened. And yeah, matlab, you have to stay, just keep moving. Okay, don't be like okay ho hi nahi raha hai, chhod dete hain, thoda ho raha hai thoda karo, but just keep doing it. That worked for me,
All
and so
right,
I gave.
all right, okay. Mrinal, what would you say? What do you think were the challenges that came across your way in your preparation for the NEET?
One would definitely be that studies for not just NEET, any competitive exam in general is pretty intensive and requires a lot more revision and a much more stable, strong temperament. There's a lot of psychological aspects involved too. And when I was in school, I did not go for like foundation coaching or anything like that. I was pretty clear when in school I want to focus only on school and mother focus only on school in the sense making the most out of my school life. And my parents also believed in the same thing. So I didn't have any form of foundation or start there. So when I came to 11th, 12th, it was a bit of a it was not a bit, it was a huge shift to such a competitive environment where in school it's simple, you're competing in a class of 30, 40 people, and it's just in that circle that you have to see whether you're doing well or not. And in school, more than your rank, I guess your marks would matter because that's what reflects on your scorecard, right? Not your school rank or your state rank. But none of that applies in NEET. There, it's rank which matters, and I think this has become increasingly clear and apparent to students and everyone in general with the terrible rank inflation that's been happening over the years. So that kind of competitive environment, it can get a little depressing, especially at the start if you're not used to it. So I think that would be the major thing. I'd say that I mean that was the one thing that it took me a while to get used to. That and the increased study hours.
All right, okay. Uh, so, when you were preparing, Mrinal, how did you manage to strike a balance? Like, how did you manage to give equal focus to all your subjects, to physics, chemistry, and biology?
Firstly, I don't think that, I mean, when people say give equal focus to all subjects, I don't think that means dividing the time you have in a day by four and proportioning that among among the four subjects. I
Okay.
don't I don't believe that's how it works. Again, this is a very personal thing. Didn't do that. Maybe that's the suitable. Maybe that's the way to go for others.
Hmm.
But in my case, I felt that there were some subjects that maybe they required more effort in the beginning, but didn't require that much effort towards the end. I'm talking specifically about physics. I used to struggle with physics in the beginning because I didn't have a maths background. Like I did well in maths in school, but then when it came to solving MCQs and competitive exams, I was poor at math. So I had a sort of psychological block against the subject as well. So physics, when the mathematical portion of it, like calculus, was introduced, it took me a while to adjust to that and get the hang of it. So in the beginning, physics was what I gave a huge chunk of my time to, and chemistry, biology, because it was just about revision, it used to get less time. But then the time I put in for physics, it it bore fruit, and I saw that my concepts became clearer with time, and my speed was improving. I was able to solve the fairly difficult questions as well. So once I felt that, once I realized that, I stopped giving that much time to physics. I started focusing on other aspects of physics, like the theoretical aspects and the time management aspects of it. But after that, I started giving more time to biology and inorganic chemistry and all those memory based subjects, because for that revision is required. And in the beginning, while you may feel like ठीक है बाद में कर लेंगे, बाद में time मिल जाएगा, towards the end you feel like अब नहीं तो कभी नहीं. Like you need to start now. You need to keep revising regularly, so that by the time the exam comes around, you have these things down in your memory, at least for the most part. So my time division between these four subjects varied considerably over the years. It was more tailored to my needs. So that's what I would suggest people to do. If you're good at a subject, then just ensure you stay good at that subject, and the rest of the time use it to strengthen your other subjects, because ultimately you will be judged on all four subjects, and which means you need to be good at all four subjects if you want to score well, right? So
Right. All right. Great. So, Sakshi, posing the same question to you, although your preparation, like you did not really plan on entering medicine, but once you were into the preparation, how did you strike a balance among the different subjects that you had to study, that is physics, chemistry, and bio?
Now, talking about time division, earlier I was also like, yeah, matlab, at the beginning of 11th standard, uh, I was also very poor at this thing. मतलब मुझसे भी टाइम डिवीजन नहीं हो रहा था एंड शुरू में जो टेस्ट होते थे at the beginning of 11th, I was no, I was like below average. I was among below average. Then with time I started improving. Like uh, it, for bio, I used to study in the morning so that I can remember it better. And for physics, my classes for Akash were like from 4 to 7. So in morning I used to study bio, and in the afternoon I used to study chemistry and physics. So uh, and yeah, chemistry and physics is more like conceptual. So you don't have to do you don't have to give your morning time to those subjects, right? And and after that, yeah, there were situations जब बहुत mess up हो जाता था, like then also uh, मतलब my biggest motivation were other people, right? कि बाकी लोग कैसा कर रहे हैं, बाकी लोग कैसे कर रहे हैं. That used to keep me moving. That thing used to keep me moving. So
Okay. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Sakshi, got it. Thank you. Dipanita, we have a couple of hands raised, so we might take Pragya's question. Can we please unmute her, Pragya Rai?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi, Pragya. Please ask your question.
My question to Mrinal Bhaiya.
Yeah, what is the question?
How to make a revision plan perfect to revise timely each and every subject equally.
Okay, all right. Mrinal, would you please want to answer it?
yeah, so again, revision also has to be tailored to your needs, right? Like when I was trying to revise physics before the exam, I was less focused on numericals and more focused on theory, because I was feeling confident with my numerical problems. Those were based on understanding, and I felt like I had a pretty good understanding of concepts by then. So but on the other hand, whenever theoretical questions came in the paper, I usually used to, I was quite prone to making errors in those kind of questions. So towards the end, as I realized that, I gave less time to numericals. I mean, you have to keep in touch with them, of course, but I started giving more preparation, revision time for NCRT. A lot of people think you don't have to read NCRT for physics. That is a myth. You need to read NCRT for every subject. That is a blanket statement applicable to everyone. It's the one thing I can tell you with certainty works for everyone. Rest everything else, it depends on personal choice thoda. So one I'd say is that, tailor it to your specific needs. Second thing is, I didn't do this, but I started doing it, but I didn't have the time to see it all the way through. If you can, especially when you're reading NCRT, do try making short notes, because by the time I started making short notes, it was very late. I only had a few months left for preparation, and I knew that if I tried to start making it now, because taking making notes takes time, right? So if I started now, I probably would not be able to finish my syllabus well enough. So I dropped that plan midway through. But I saw that the few chapters that I did, follow that process for, it was helping me. So maybe when you're reading NCRT for the second or third time, try to make short notes out of it. Just write the things which you feel which you tend to forget. That's why I said second or third time, because then you'll realize what are the things that, despite having read it twice, you still are forgetting it. So those things you write down, maybe, stick it up on your wall. Or I remember I had this thing, I didn't want to dirty my wall, although I had it decorated with posters and stuff. But last 1 month, maybe, when I succumbed to pressure and fear, so I did put up a few of those sticky notes, and it definitely helps. So those are the two things I'd say. One is tailor it to your needs, and second is do try to make short notes. It's of huge help. It may look like a high investment in the beginning because it takes time to write things down, but you won't have time to read the whole of NCRT towards the end. So you need to have some concise, ready reference material. So that's where short notes come in.
Okay. That was a great help, Minal. We will take the next question from Srinusha Shinde.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
I want to ask question to Mrinal Bhaiya.
Anji.
The question is how to start the reading of NCRT of all subjects in the starting of 11th without academy.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last part. Without what?
Without academy.
Without joining a coaching,
like
like, I think she meant without joining a coaching, Minal.
so like by sense. Since I joined coaching, I guess I'm not the right person to answer, but I can tell you for a fact that it's not compulsory to join coaching to crack NEET. There are many students in the premier institutes of the country who have done it by themselves and their normal schooling. So when reading NCRT, one thing I'd say is there is some overlap between reading NCRT for your school purpose and reading NCRT for NEET, because the content is the same, but the viewpoint, the perspective from which you're reading is different. When you read for school exams, it's about understanding the concept so that you can write enough for a 4-mark answer or a 5-mark answer, right? But when it comes to NEET preparation, you have to remember every point in the textbook, every single point in the textbook, but it comes in multiple choice format, right? So there it doesn't matter whether you can describe a concept, it matters whether you can apply and remember the concept, right? So that's the thing. And especially since, from all throughout school, we are more used to the description type of learning methodology. What I'd say is, when you read NCRT, pay attention to each and every point, even those a few sentences at the start of a chapter that we tend to ignore just because it's an introduction. Read those as well. And secondly, start solving MCQs along with it. The NCRT book may not have MCQs, but do see if you can buy some kind of reference material. Like MTG had that I mean, I use that book, so I can talk about that. MTG NCRT at your fingertips. It had a good mix of questions which were within and also thoda sa beyond the scope of NCRT. So it was good learning material. Or otherwise, if you don't want to join an institute, you can still like get their material, like modules and papers, right, through their distance programs or whatever. those can also come in handy, because then you're just taking their material and you decide how much and when to use it and the way you want to use it. So what I'd say is read NCRT, paying attention to every point, and then solve MCQs based on it from whatever source you would like.
All right. Okay. Renan, another question that we've received is what would be an ideal mock test attempting strategy? Ideal in the sense, I mean, what was your mock test attempting strategy?
I'm asking for a clarification in the sense ki how do you attempt a mock test, like in what order of subjects that way, or how do you attempt, how often do you attempt, in what way is the question being asked?
Yeah. So how many, like, when do you start giving mock tests and how do you, how frequently should you sit for them?
Right, I got it. So there's no right time to start attempting mock tests. I remember the first full portion test I wrote was before the syllabus was completed in my coaching. Uh, and when I wrote that, and I'm not trying to flex, okay, ki I started that early, still I scored very well. I scored pathetically, but I got the experience of what a full portion test looks like. Obviously, the questions which came from the chapters I hadn't learned, I flunked practically all of them, unless there was something which I knew based on school knowledge. Apart from that, I flunked all of them, and I hadn't done proper revision of what I'd already learned. I was relying on previous memory, right? So it's not about how much you can score. It's more about you getting the hang of how to approach a full portion paper. Like you'll see that full portion tests are not as, I mean, usually not as in-depth and exhaustive as the tests that you write, which have like 3 or 4 chapters of syllabus. I mean, obviously, when you have those many chapters to play with, you can't go deep for all of them, right? So and also you have to learn how to manage time, because preparing for mock test is not like preparing for a unit test. You can prepare for a unit test in 2 days before an exam, but for a mock test you can't. A mock test is like a constant what do you say, you just keep learning and you will slowly but surely see progress and improvements. So start as soon as you feel comfortable. You don't even have to wait for the syllabus to get done, honestly. If there's only like 3 4 chapters left, it's okay, leave it. I remember when NEET 2020, when the NEET 2020 paper was released, I had attempted that. I think by then, I think the syllabus had just been done for us, but I hadn't revised anything. I still attempted it just for the experience. So start as soon as soon as you're comfortable attempting it. Don't focus on your marks initially. It's about the learning experience. You learn how to manage time, how to manage stress, and how to deal with questions you don't know. As far as frequency is concerned, you don't have to write mock tests that frequently in the beginning, but with time, like once you start revising your syllabus, like it's been taught in class and you're revising it, start writing as many as you can. Like in the last 1 or 2 months, I was writing a mock test a day. Couple of days I'd even written 2 mock tests a day. I used to be exhausted at the end of the day, but still I did. So writing mock tests is very important, and make sure you give time to analyze it and analyze it properly. Is there a topic from which you're making mistakes again and again, concept from where you're making mistakes again and again? Is it theoretical questions or numerical questions you're going wrong, or was it just that you don't have a proper time management strategy? There's a lot of things to consider. So do analyze the paper properly. Take it slow at the start. Just write to get experience. Don't write too many. And towards the end, once you have started revising and you feel like a decent portion of the syllabus मैंने ठीक से revise कर लिया, from there start taking it a little more seriously. But that does not mean before you write mock test, you don't write any tests at all. Like if you're in an institute, then obviously you'll be writing their unit tests and fortnightly tests or whatever they call it, like once in 2 weeks or whatever. But even if you're not going for a coaching, do try and get papers like from a friend, or maybe from, if you want to buy the distance course, or maybe you want to like some, I think you can buy papers, I'm not sure, but like do source papers from somewhere and get used to the practice of solving question papers, even if it is those papers which are like based only on 3 or 4 chapters.
All right, Mrinal. Sakshi, my next question will be for you. So, since you do not have very concrete plans of attempting the NEET and getting into the best of colleges, How do you think coaching helped you? How beneficial was coaching for you as an aspirant of medicine?
Now for me, coaching worked a lot. Like without coaching, I really can't imagine that I would have cleared NEET. Coaching only oriented me how to attempt all India level test. Coaching only told me how to go for MCQs, how to study for this. Like you don't have to go through subjective portion only. You have to think objectively, right? And yeah, and the teachers at my coaching were very. They supported me a lot. Like they helped me to stay motivated all the time. So without coaching, I don't think that I would have ever cleared NEET, right? And the and your coaching and what coaching you choose that also matters. So for me, I really like to say that Akash helped me a lot because
Okay.
without Akash, I would have never cleared it.
All right, all right. Mrinal, in line with what Sakshi said, um, what were the specific value additions that coaching brought to your preparation?
Specific value additions.
Yeah.
One thing definitely would be a competitive atmosphere. That does make a difference. The peer group, like if you're surrounded by people who are preparing for, it's kind of a herd mentality, I suppose. But yeah, it is also the atmosphere you study in, right? Because that influences you, that influences your motivation and your drive to study. So that is one thing. The second thing is I got access to some good material. Like the modules that I got from my institute were, in my opinion, top quality. Like they had good content, they had good questions which ranged from basic NCRT level stuff to thoda more engineering type questions. So that was definitely one thing that I'd like to point out. One thing I'd like to specify here is that I am enumerating the benefits of joining coaching, but I'm not saying it is 100% compulsory. I said that before, but there are definitely advantages that you can derive from it. If you feel like you're not a very self-motivated, self-driven person, then a coaching can give you that kind of boost or push, external push, that you might need to keep studying and keep solving those tests. If you're self-driven, that may not be much of a thing for you, but if you feel like you procrastinate too much, or that that internal drive is not very strong in you, then coaching can make a difference. And apart from that is the tests that they provide. Like they'll ensure that you're writing tests periodically, frequently, so that you get used to bubbling in OMRs and how to solve MCQs, what's the approach to them and everything. So there's definitely advantages.
Okay, yeah, okay. Another question that I would have for you, Mrinal, while you were in class 12th, how did you manage your regular academics? That is, how did you manage your school studies and your NEET prep simultaneously? That's a
Uh,
big question that I think a lot of the NEET aspirants would have.
yeah, school studies, that's not a question you should ask me. I think Sakshi would be more qualified to answer that. I mean, in my case, my coaching was kind of like a dummy coaching kind of thing, where you don't have to go to school regularly. And that did give me a lot more time in hand to prepare for NEET and to manage my time with a little less stress and burden. So, and on top of that, 12th class exams were cancelled during our academic year. So I don't think I should answer that question.
Okay. Sakshi, will you have any tips for our audience? How did you manage studying at school and at your coaching?
Actually, I also did my 11th, 12th from a dummy school only, so I can't tell that how to manage your school studies.
Okay.
I
All right. All right. So, before the exam, before what was your what would be your tips for students to revise the whole syllabus just before the exam? That is a few days before the NEET exam, Rinal.
Few days before the NEET exam, Well, the first thing you got to do is accept you can't revise the whole syllabus. That's the first thing. Mentality matters, because if you put off a lot of things to do in the last few days, thinking maybe if there's less time between me reading it and the exam, then I'll remember it better. It makes sense to some extent, but it's also illogical, because that if you're trying to cover such a huge syllabus in such a short span of time, you won't be able to do justice to it, and you'll be in such a stressed state of mind that your efficiency will be very, very minimal. There's very little that you can gain from reading towards the end. So a couple of days before the exam, I'd say, just by then you would have figured out what are the most volatile in the sense, the things that you forget most easily, which are the most volatile topics for you. You might have figured that out, and even in those topics you must have figured out which are the topics or subtopics, whatever, that you tend to forget really easily, like aaj padha tha lekin kal bhul gaya kind of thing. So if you've identified that, maybe you've underlined it in your textbook, so go through those things. This is one particular place where short notes would help. Like those would be what do you say, a compilation of things that you tend to forget, that you feel like you need to revise. So then you can take your short notes for those few chapters from each subject that you haven't that you don't feel confident about, and revise it a few days before the exam. One day before the exam, my this is again varied from person to person, but my personal suggestion would be not to do anything. I mean, do not study a thing. That was my plan, but I remember some amount, like our exam was on Sunday, right? So I'd planned to finish everything by Friday, but Friday ka thoda kaam Saturday ko spill over ho gaya. So I thought was एक ही chapter है Saturday. I'll finish it in the morning by like 10 or 11, and then rest of the day I'll relax so that I'm in a good frame of mind tomorrow. But then I realized what a vicious, it's like it pulls you in like quicksand, you know. As I read that chapter, couple of things I think I didn't remember. And I was like, if I've forgotten this here, how many other chapters are there that I've forgotten stuff from? So from there, I went to another chapter thinking, but quickly, 10 minute mein revise kar lunga, and that leads to another chapter. Before I knew it, it was evening. It was evening like 5 or 6 p.m. when my mom finally stepped in and said, okay, I've had enough of you. I'm taking the book, I'm locking it inside. You're going to go and do something, anything apart from studying. So I went, I played table tennis with my brother. I listened to music for a while. After 6, I didn't study anything. And that put me in such a wonderful state of mind. It was, you need peace, most importantly, the day before and the day of the exam. And doing things that relax you, calm you, I believe are the way to go. And the day of the exam also, I didn't study anything. I just went to the exam hall. I was listening to music. I was keeping myself calm, and I wrote the paper. So the less you do towards the end, the better, because their preparation is 2 years work, not 2 days work. So preparation, there's not much you can change in, but mindset and mentality is something you can influence at that point of time. So try to stay calm, stay focused, stay confident. I think that's what you should focus more on towards the end.
All right, Milan. Okay. Now, when we talk about attempting the paper while you are in the exam hall, of course, time is a constraint, right? So, how do you tackle answering different kinds of questions? I mean, you encounter a difficult question. So, do you kind of immediately answer it, or you leave it for you to come back to it later? What was your strategy, and what would you advise students on this?
If you encounter a difficult or time consuming question.
Difficult question which you are not very familiar with, or a time consuming question, any question that is relatively a challenge.
Like I would try it for a couple of minutes, but after if by then also you don't get it, then you need to do as a return on investment analysis. You spend 3 minutes on it, you're not getting anywhere. Maybe if you spend another 5 minutes, you might get it. You never know. But in 5 minutes, there are 4 more questions in biology waiting for you, which are like instant 4 marks each, which you have revised, which you learned well. Do that kind of return on investment analysis, and especially you will realize this particular paper is long, it's lengthy, it's difficult. There's a chance I may not be able to attempt all the questions. So in that case, when you come across challenging questions, just leave them, move on to the next one, and come back to it. So that's what I'd say. It's okay to try a question for, like, if it's in physics or chemistry for 3 is a bit of a stretch, but 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes is fine. But even after that, if you have no leads whatsoever on how to solve that question, you're getting nowhere, then it's time to move on. It's a very difficult thing to do. Your ego is going to get in the way, like, especially if it's one of your favorite topics, or that one chapter you were really confident about, but usme se sabse mushkil question aa gaya. It's very difficult to let go of your ego and move on. But that's one more thing you'll have to learn during, the million, not million, but that's exaggeration, obviously. But the many mock tests that you'll be writing during your preparation journey, you learn how to prevent ego from interfering with your paper.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Pranal. And Sakshi, what would you have to say on this? How did you tackle the difficult questions while you were attempting the paper, and what would you advise students about it?
In the beginning, I used to leave them. I used to keep them for the last. First of all, जब मैं पहले go through कर लेती थी paper, and then I used to attempt what was clicking at that point of time. और जो नहीं आ रहा था उसको छोड़ देती, because वो time भी लेगा आपका, और अगर वो solve भी नहीं हुआ, then what's the use of that, right? So, and बाद में आपको अगर time मिला तो करो, एक question पर अटके मत रहो, because कोई फायदा नहीं है. You have very less time, right?
Okay. All right, yeah, got it. So we have a few hands raised, and we'll ask the students to unmute. Nitin, can we please have him unmuted, Dipandita? Nitin, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
Is it possible to get 500 plus marks from 100 plus to 500? That's my question.
Mrinal, is the question clear to you?
I think so.
From
You're saying
100 to 500.
you're talking about
plus,
marks like mock tests.
No, about
Talking about the NEET exam, so one attempt he gets 100. How does he make that jump? Is it, Nitin?
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so like in your drop year or something, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously it's possible, man. I personally know of a guy like that. He didn't score in hundreds. He scored in 200, 250. He was a friend of mine, actually. Now he's scoring 580 or 582 or something like that. So obviously it's possible. There's nothing that's impossible, man. Like, as cliched as it sounds, there really isn't. It just, all you need to do is an honest. It honestly can hurt, but still an honest introspection to find out where you went wrong. Like, see, there could be many reasons why you scored in the range of hundreds. It could be because you didn't prepare. It could be because you had a personal issue on that day which didn't let you focus. So be honest with yourself and find out why you couldn't perform that day. Did that one day the pressures just get to you? In that case, solve that problem. Get your head together. If you need to seek counseling, if you need to seek help, or if you need to do some kind of regular breathing exercise to calm yourself down, whatever you need to do to get in the right headspace for the exam, do that. If you know you did not prepare, you weren't serious about your preparation in whatever time frame you prepared for the exam, then don't make that mistake now. A year is it's a long time. That's more than enough time to change your ways and make up for whatever mistakes you made in your first attempt. So it's definitely possible. Only thing I'd say is that, one, be disciplined during your drop year, and be honest with yourself during your drop year. Better than me, there are so many droppers who made it to the top colleges, many who are my batchmates now, and they have such inspiring, such wonderful stories. If you get a chance to, I don't know, watch their videos or get in touch with them, that might help you better. But if you're at least answering your question at its basic level, yes, it is definitely possible.
Thank you, Mrinal. That was indeed very inspiring. Okay, we'll take the next question from Ritu.
Ma'am, Ritu is not connected with audio, so
With
can't
audio.
unmute.
Okay, okay. Pragya has another question. Pragya?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have another question? We see your hand raised.
Yes, ma'am.
And please ask.
I was a dropper. How to deal with the negative thoughts and the distraction come in the path of our preparation.
Okay. Mrinal, did you take a drop here?
I did not know.
Okay, okay. But still, going by, with all the experience that you had preparing for it, what would be your advice to droppers?
I think mental strength, again, like everything that I say from here on is it's kind of equivalent to speculation, right? So do not take me that seriously, because obviously someone who's been through your struggle, been through the road that you are now treading, that person will be much more qualified to answer this question. But still, if I had to, I would say that mental strength and belief in yourself is these are the two things that matter the most. Because in a drop year, for most, I guess for most people, it's the uncertainty, or it's the fact that you couldn't get over your first failure that hampers you from doing well in the second one. You maybe have that constant fear ki, is it because I'm not good enough, or a million other doubts that flood your mind. So I really think that a drop year is obviously about correcting the academic mistakes you made the first time around, but it's also so much about your temperament. Like, you need to have faith in yourself, because it doesn't I mean, others' faith can reinforce your own faith, but unless you have faith in yourself, nothing else will help you out. So to deal with negativity, I think you should be honest with yourself. Again, that comes into a lot of people aren't able to perform their first time, either due to financial issues or personal issues, or simply because they didn't have the time to prepare. Like, there are people who prepared only for 1 year for the exam, and they had to cram 2 years of syllabus in 1 year, or maybe in a lesser time frame than that. So that's not because you're not intelligent, or because you can't do it. It's because you didn't have the time. In your drop year, you have the time. So have faith in yourself, and be disciplined. These are the only things that I believe make the most difference in a drop year. I'm sorry, I can't tell you something very specific as to how to deal with negativity.
No,
But
that's fine, of course. And yeah, there are some answers that can come only from experts like mental health. This is good enough coming from the kind of experience you've had till now. Okay. Mrinal, tell us a little about the counseling process that you underwent.
like the medical counseling to
Yes,
apply
yes,
for it.
yes.
Um, it was mostly my mother who helped me through that. Like, she was the one who kept refreshing the page on medical counseling wala website. So, but I do remember the main thing to do is just keep your documents ready beforehand, I'd say, because that's just another unnecessary source of stress towards the end if you feel like your documents aren't in order. More or less, the documents remain same from year to year. So just um, keep that ready beforehand. Like, don't wait till after the counseling dates come to arrange for those things. Keep them, have them with you before. If there's any corrections to be made or anything that you need to do with respect to your documents, do that beforehand. Secondly, as far as filling out colleges is concerned, it's really simple. Like, you can fill your order of colleges in your preference, without worrying about whether your top colleges you will get or not. Like, counseling is designed in such a way that once the system arrives at your roll number, it will not move on to the next roll number till it reaches the bottom of your list, right? So that means, even if the you can put excuse me, you can put AIMS New Delhi as your first choice college at a rank of 10,000 general also. There's no harm in that. You obviously will not get it, but you don't lose anything just because you put it there. There's no limitation to the number of, I mean, there is a theoretical limitation like 300 colleges or something. I don't remember, but 300 is a huge number to play with. So don't fret too much about that. You, the first 20-30 colleges that you fill can just be your dream colleges, or maybe those that maybe you have a 1 in a million shot of making it. And after that you can get to more likely ones, and somewhere in between are the ones that you can get into, realistically speaking, based on your rank and previous year's cutoffs. Don't fret too much about that, but ensure that you've done your research beforehand so that at least you know what to expect from the results.
All right. Okay. My next question will be for you, Sakshi. So, Sakshi, during your NEET prep, now when you look back at that preparation phase of yours, what do you think are some of the mistakes that you could have avoided during your preparation?
During the preparation, I used to stress it myself a lot. I used to think a lot. I used to overthink. Like, what if I won't be able to crack my NEET? What if I won't be able to score this much in my exams? And what will happen? So, what I learned is nothing gonna happen. If you didn't clear it this year, you will be clearing it another year or year after that. So there's nothing to panic. Okay, the most important thing which matters is how are you practice मतलब आप जो तैयारी कर रहे हैं आपको उसका रिजल्ट मिल रहा है या नहीं, दैट इज द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग. और बहुत बार तो मतलब my sleep got disturbed a lot many times. Like, मैं सो नहीं पाती थी बहुत बार, just because I used to think about exams all the time. What gonna happen? My scores? Will I be able to clear it or not? So yeah, I think is very wrong. I must not have done this. And what else? I think our mistakes are. And yeah, at a point during my NEET journey, there was a duration when I just stopped studying. I was like, यार कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है, what is happening in the coaching, and और घर पे भी कुछ नहीं हो पा रहा है. So like for 1 month I just studied nothing, and that I think was very wrong. I should not have done that. But every day you have to keep studying little bit, थोड़ा थोड़ा पढ़ते रहो. Doesn't matter कि आप ज़्यादा मतलब आप goal achieve कर पा रहे हो या नहीं, but just keep studying. And yeah, one more thing which I like to mention is just make your timetable, right? Just on last night, just make a note कि आपको क्या क्या topics करने हैं on the next day, and do that. Don't be like कि मुझे इतना सारा करना है. Don't think कि इतना सारा syllabus है. Just think about those topics which you have to do on that day. And yeah, and what else? And yeah, in the very beginning, before giving test, in the very beginning of test, I मैं टेस्ट को रिवाइज नहीं करती थी. आई वाज जस्ट लाइक कि मैंने 10 टेस्ट लगातार दे दिए, एंड I didn't recheck my paper what my mistake was. So due to that कोई performance में improvement ही नहीं आता था. You don't have to do that, right? You just have to analyze it after giving the test. The analyzing part of the test giving is most important thing, right? So don't skip that. And what else, right? Yeah, and most of the time, mostly तो यही था. But the most important thing is just keep yourself calm, because nothing gonna happen. If you didn't clear it this year, you're gonna do it another year. So that's it.
All right. Thanks, Sakshi. So we would move towards winding it up now. And Mrinal, I would like to ask you one final question for today. How is life at medical college?
Life at medical colleges is what you make of it. Like the opportunities here are endless. But when I say that, I mean it in so much more than a purely academic sense. Obviously, in an academic sense, the faculty here is top notch, and you have innumerable research opportunities, a well stocked library. But it's it's all this and so much more, right? There's so many cultural fests here taking place, and so many sports events, so many facilities available for sports and social cultural activities and literary activities. Anything that you can think of, if there's anything you ever wanted to pursue in life, but maybe you put it on hold during 11th and 12th because you were preparing, or for whatever reason, you'll definitely find opportunities here to do that. So if you can manage your time well and maintain some level of discipline, you can definitely make the most of your college life. You can stay updated with your academics, keep that going, but at the same time you can also um, pursue all those hobbies and interests which you've always wanted to, but either never found the time to, or people just told you you're not supposed to do that right now. So there's scope for everything. College really is what you make of it. You have freedom, you have independence, which also comes with responsibility. So really, it's the full package.
All right, all right. Indeed, quite a valuable insight. Thanks, Pranal, so much. Thank you so much for sparing your time out of your busy schedule and agreeing to speak to us. Thank you so much, Sakshi. It was really nice talking to you. With this, I would like to wind up this webinar because I hear Manal has got some other commitments now. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, it was wonderful talking to you. We'll wind this up with this. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. It was wonderful being here.